Hey, Wargamers! Welcome back. Purple Druid presents Wargame Culture. And today we have the first of the strategic moves in the mini campaign. The inciting incident has already happened, which we call Betrayal at Don Bonito. Bum, bum, bum. Anyway, here at Don Bonito, the traitors, according to the Machion Nation, were arrested, and so Doña Featherstone has sent her eldest son, Edward, off to warn the provincial governor in the capital at Agno. Now, the troops from the garrison stayed around all night, keeping an eye on things, and the next day they send a messenger off to the capital here at Aguilar. So we're going to move our messengers, and so what we're going to do is, this is the first turn, so we're going to shuffle our event cards, and we're going to draw 3 for each side. So we have our 3 event cards. And let's take a look at those before we draw for the messengers. We have Forced March. This is for the blue side. The Machion side. And Forced March says, this card may be allocated to one commander. For one turn only, every unit under his command may carry out a Forced March without any detrimental consequences, which may, for example, enable them to reach a place fit and ready to fight at full effect. The second card, Appeasement. The ruling family or political party succumbs to the will of a weary people back home, stirred up by politicians with a tendency to appease. Your forces cease all hostilities for the time being for D6 turns, while diplomats negotiate a ceasefire and armistice. At the end of this interval, dice again 1, 2, or 3, and negotiations have failed, and hostilities recommence. 4, 5, or 6, and the negotiations has succeeded, and for you, the war is over. Oh my goodness. Well. And then the third card is Assassination. The head of your ruling family / political party has been assassinated and the nation is in crisis. Your army may not advance or initiate combat for the next D6 turns until unrest at home dies down and a new leader is appointed. Your forces may, however, defend themselves if attacked. All right, so then we're going to roll to see if the new leader will pursue the same policy. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we're going to have to figure out what all that means, because those are cards that we can play once per turn. All right, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to shuffle these so that we don't know which is which, and we'll play that one at the beginning of the turn. So I'm going to put this right here. Now, for Serenagor, we have Confused Communications. Any orders intended for the drawing players, allies, or mercenaries in that turn either fail to arrive or are completely misunderstood. Oh my goodness. And then we have Free Corps. If the player drawing this card commands a European-style force, they're approached by a wealthy aristocrat who has raised a regular battalion of infantry or small regiment of light cavalry in defense of the nation. Huh. All right, so we'll figure that out. We're going to have to do the same thing. Here we have Flocking to the Colors. The player drawing the card receives unexpected reinforcements. Well, well, well. Okay, so we are definitely going to have to draw one of these cards randomly for each side at the end of the turn. So we're going to start the turn and do the first week, and then we'll flip over one of those cards. But first, let us draw cards for our for the messengers. Okay. Courier rules from Mr. Tony Bath, How to Set Up a Wargames Campaign, page 87. We have a special pack of cards. There are 13 cards here. It is all of one suit, and so what we're going to do is we'll draw one for the red, and we'll draw one for the blue. Actually, we'll shuffle in between, of course, and then we will move our messengers for the first week of travel. So let's draw for the red first, because the red are leaving Don Bonito first, and it is a queen. Okay, so that means that the horse is lamed and will move at 1/2 speed. Oh my goodness. All right, so let's move our red. Let's move our red messenger at 1/2 speed. Now, the messenger normally moves at 15 hexes per week. So that means we're going to be cut down to 8 hexes per week. So that means we'll do 1 hex per day. And so let's do 2 hexes on the first day, and then 1 hex after that. So, you know what? We're going to slow it down a little more. We're going to call it 7 hexes per day, because he's leaving at night. So he's only going to go 1 hex on the first night. So that's day 1, and then day 2, and then day 3, and then day 4. Day 4, he is supposed to warn his cousin of what's going on in Don Bonito. And so his cousin, let's call him Alfred Featherstone. We're going to go ahead and use, he's going to get the first line here of the officer characteristics. And then his captain, Captain Roberts of the Bracken Guard, he's going to have the second line of characteristics. So we'll roll for him to see what he does to make of this. So first of all, Alfred is very intelligent, but he's got low initiative, high courage. So he's going to go ahead and tell his captain, who has an intelligence of 66 and an initiative of 43 and a courage of 61. So what are some possibilities for Captain Roberts? Well, Captain Roberts, I actually wrote these down already to save us a little bit of time. Captain Roberts can do something aggressive, do something diplomatic, or do something defensive. Aggressive, diplomatic, or defensive. So we're going to roll a die, and on a 1 or a 2, it'll be the aggressive. On a 3 or 4, it'll be diplomatic, and a 5 or 6, it will be the defensive. So the aggressive choice will be to send some light cavalry and scouts to investigate what's going on at Don Bonito of his own initiative. The diplomatic thing to do is to check with the mayor first, and then what we'll do is we'll roll on the decision table. And the defensive choice will be to mobilize his men and then wait for orders from headquarters. And the headquarters, of course, is here. And poor Edward, his horse, maybe he can get a new horse. So let's roll a 50-50 chance he can get a new horse and continue. Or let's say perhaps they send a new messenger, so we'll draw another messenger card. So first let's roll for Captain Roberts. And that's a 4. So he's going to check with the mayor first. So now we're going to go to the decision table and see what the mayor wants to do. This is our chart from the Solo Wargaming Guide. And we're going to see how long it takes our mayor to make a decision. And since we're just going down the list randomly, we're going to assign the mayor as position number 4. So we'll put Mayor of Bracken here. Each time we need an NPC, we'll just go right down the chart here. Now his competency is 5, so that's excellent. So he's going to obey, he's going to make a decision immediately. And again, he's going to roll on the same chart as Captain Roberts. He's going to take Captain Roberts' recommendation, and that's a 1. So that's going to be the aggressive stance, which is to send light cavalry and scouts to investigate, and then send a new messenger on towards the capital. So that was day 4. So on day 5, we're going to draw a new card for our courier. And let's go ahead and shuffle these up a little bit. All right. And the new courier card is a queen again. So the horse is lamed. Okay, so he's going to move 2 hexes, or 8 hexes in 1 week, 1 hex per day. So he'll move 1 hex on the first day, which is the 4th, which will put him here. It's still going to be faster on the road. So we'll go 1, 2, that's day 5, and day 6, and day 7. So that's the first week. We're at day 7. I'll just make a note here. Day 7, the red messenger is at an hex 2614. And mobilizes immediately. He's going to mobilize some troops. So we're going to use red block A here, and they will mobilize immediately according to the competency for Captain Roberts, which is a 4. So again, he'll obey those orders immediately. So on day 5, our cavalry and scouts are going to head out. Now, light cavalry moves at 6 hexes per week. So on the roads, we're going to double that. So that will be 12 hexes per week. And so we're going to do about 1.5 hexes per day. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, and that will be day 7. So on day 7, the red light cavalry and scouts are on hex 2112. Okay, so now let's go ahead and do the blue messenger. And we'll draw a card for our blue messenger. And that's a 4. Four means normal speed. So he'll be able to move at 15 hexes per week. And on the road, that will be doubled. So that'll be 30 divided by 7, which is 4 hexes per day. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 2 days. So it's actually day 3 because he left the next day. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's day 4. 1, 2. So on day 5, he arrives at the capital. And he will inform the general in charge there. And the General Francisco of the Machion army, his CCR is 5. And so let's see how he responds. Now, little note, I have asked a friend of mine and given him all of the information, and he decided that his choice would be to do the what he felt to be a diplomatic solution, which would be to send some troops, some scouts and light cavalry to investigate. So what we're going to do is use blue block A here, and they will respond immediately. So they will leave on the very next day. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So on day 7, our blue light cavalry and scouts are on hex 1806. And that is the end of our first week of strategic moves. Now, let's go ahead and flip the event cards over and see what we have. Okay, so we have an assassination in the Machion Union. The leader suffers an assassination. Wow. Okay. So, there will be no advancing or initiating combat for the next D6 turns until unrest at home dies down and a new leader is appointed. Now, the unfortunate thing is these fellows here already have orders, and since we don't have radios, there's no way to stop them. So they're going to continue doing what they want to do. So the blue event, assassination. And let's roll for how many turns before anything else can happen regarding any decisions there. 6 turns. Okay, so what's next? Immediately roll another d6. On a 3, 4, 5, or 6, the new leader will pursue the same policy as their predecessor. However, on a 1 or 2, all alliances will become null and void. Roll a third d6. On a 6, everyone remains where they ever take a neutral stance until the end of the season. Okay, so what we're going to call this, on a 3, 4, 5, or 6, the new leader will maintain the diplomatic approach at figuring out what's going on. On a 1 or a 2, they'll take a contrary view, and so then we'll roll again. On a 1 to 3, they'll be aggressive, and on a 4 to 6, they'll be defensive. However, we're going to wait 6 turns to determine that, because it takes 6 turns for the new leader to be appointed. So we're going to wait until turn 7, and literally nothing is going to happen from here until turn 7. However, I believe we should send messengers to each settlement so that everyone knows that the leader has been assassinated. So we'll see how long that takes to catch up down here. So that's the end of week 1. And you know what? I should have made some little cards for that. Oh, and the red card, what's the red card? Free core. Okay. So that means that someone has raised a another force. This force must start in the player's territory, after which it may move whenever desired. Okay, so let's say that right here in Bracken, there's a wealthy aristocrat who has raised his own troops. And because he knows what's going on, because he's heard it through the grapevine. Now, the normal forces stationed at Bracken are 2 regiments of infantry. So let's roll a d6, and on a 1 to 4, he'll raise another regiment of infantry, and on a 5 or 6, he'll raise a regiment of cavalry. Okay, so we're going to get +1 regiments of infantry at Bracken. Okay, so that is where we are at the end of the first week. And you know what? I had a calendar. So the meeting at Don Bonito was on February 25th. So that takes us through Saturday, March 2nd. At which point we learn that the leader of the Machian Union was assassinated. Now we're going to send out some messengers for turn 2. And we'll draw a new event card, blind, for each force. We're not going to flip those over. I shouldn't have flipped over the cards in the first place. So we'll make a note of that for the actual game, not to flip the cards over in advance, and we'll just flip them whenever they happen. So I'm going to put these aside, and let's go ahead and for turn 2, we'll send out messengers from the provincial capital to each of these settlements to inform them of the assassination. And so the messengers, well, let's just go down the list here. Let's shuffle this. Now, over here, we'll draw a card. That's a 10. On a 10, he's a fast horse. Speed times 2 for less than 6 hexes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Otherwise, speed plus 50%. So he'll go 22 hexes, which will be 3 hexes per day, which is doubled to 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. So on the 3rd day, he'll get to 1907, which is Copatina, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's one more day to Don Bonito on day 4. So that is going to be one of our important factors, is that the courier from the capital will arrive on the 4th day of turn 2. So if we look at our calendar here, So this is turn 1. This is turn 2. The fourth day of turn 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. The courier reaches Don Bonito with news of the assassination. And then we will see what our local commander does in that case. Let's go back to day 1 of turn 2, where our light cavalry can go 6 per week, 12 on a road. So that'll be 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 3, 2. So on the third day, on day 3, the blue force arrives at Don Bonito. Our blue force, or I'm sorry, our red force, 1, 2, will arrive on day 2. So on day 2, the red force arrives at Don Bonito. So now we have a situation. A red force consisting of light cavalry and scouts has arrived at Don Bonito. And so the only opposition there is the garrison. And the light cavalry from Aguilar will not arrive until the next day, which is the 6th of March. Now, on day 1 of week 2, our messenger is still trying to get to the capital here. And he can go 2 hexes per day. So that's day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7. So on the 9th, the red messenger arrives at the capital. What we've got here is quite a predicament. So what we need to do is we need to look at what's going to happen on day 2, March 4th, when the red cavalry arrives in Don Bonito to find out about the murdered man and what's going to happen. So that is something we have not provided for in the campaign rules. So let's think about that for a second. What's the best thing to do? Let's roll a d6, and on a 1, well, the garrison there is already on edge because of the traitors. So let's say on a 1 to 4, they'll be aggressive, and we may have an incident. On a 5, they will parlay, and on a 6, let's write this down. So let's roll a die for the response. On a 1 to 4, they'll have an aggressive response, and we'll do a battle. On a 5, they will parlay, and then we'll figure that out. And on a 6, they'll assume a defensive stance and send a messenger back to the capital. So let's see what happens with that. It's a 5. They're going to parlay. Okay, so a parlay. So they will sit there, and nothing's going to happen on March 4th. Now on March 5th, the blue cavalry will arrive. And you know what? Let's roll again on that same chart and see what the addition of this cavalry means. And that's a 5. That's another parlay. So they will continue to parlay. And that's on the 5th. Now on the 6th, our messenger from the capital arrives with news about the assassination. So I think we should change the chart, and 1 to 5 will now be an aggressive response, and 6 will be to wall up at the garrison. So let's roll a d6 for that. And that's a 6. So they're going to wall up at the garrison. Huh. Wow. Okay. And now the red troops will discover that the leader of Maquillon has been assassinated. So they're definitely going to send a messenger back to the capital here. So let's see. That will be on March 6th, which is day 4. I think both of them will send messengers back to their respective capitals to inform that there is a volatile situation. In the meantime, let's go ahead and roll for the free court gentleman, the aristocrat here. Let's draw a card for the messenger with the news of the assassination. So this is on March 6th, which is day 4 of turn 2. And that's a 7. And a 7 is good horse plus 2 hexes per turn. So that'll be 1734 hexes divided by, so that's going to be almost 5 hexes per day. So our red messenger, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he'll be there on March 7th, which is day 5. And then on day 6, the messenger will inform the forces at Bracken about the assassination. So let's roll for aggressive, diplomatic, or defensive. Diplomatic. We're going to check with the mayor. What does the mayor think? Defensive. We're going to send troops to the border and secure it. Okay, so that's what's going to happen on turn 3 with Bracken. Meanwhile, up here, they're going to be aggressive and they're going to send troops. The commander at Agno has a CCR of 4, so he will respond immediately. And put together some troops. So we're going to put block B here, and they will leave on day 2. Now this is infantry. There may be artillery as well, so they're going to get 2 movement points. And on the road, that'll be 4. So they'll be able to cover 4 hexes per week. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So at the end of turn 2, the forces from the capital are at 3110. The messenger has reached Bracken. and they'll send troops to the border at the beginning of turn 3. And here, the messenger on day 5, the courier is going to ride back for the capital with news of the incursion. So, we'll draw a card. A Jack. Courier of the Jack, he gets lost. Subtract 3 hexes per move. So instead of 15, he'll go 12, which is 24 in a week. Can he make it? 1, 2, 3. That's day 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's day 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is day 7. So the end of turn 2, there's a messenger on the way to Aguilar at 13:07. So he won't arrive until Sunday, March 10th at the capital. Now, of course, nothing's going to happen. There's no new leader has been appointed. So at the end of turn 2, we have a messenger at Bracken. We have a messenger here. We have a possibility of conflict here, which we'll roll for again on March 10th. And then we have forces leaving the capital here at hex 3110. So let's go ahead and play a new event card. We have 3 event cards here. I do not know what they are. I'm going to flip this one over. Trouble on the March. Select a hex anywhere on the map. An enemy force entering that hex or any hex within D3 radius must stop and move no further this turn. Do we want to cause trouble for them or cause trouble for them? Let's say a 1 or a 2 will stop this messenger. A 3 to a 6 will stop this force. Okay, so this force will not be able to move next turn. So turn 3, capital force immobile. And then let's go ahead and shuffle these. Confused communications. Any orders next turn intended for the drawing players, allies, or mercenaries fail to arrive or are completely misunderstood. At the beginning of turn 3, we're going to roll here, and those orders that they think they have are going to be misunderstood. And we'll just go ahead and roll a d6. And again, 1 to 2 will be aggressive, 3 to 4 will be diplomatic, and 5 or 6 will be defensive. And then we'll just do the opposite. We'll shift that. We'll shift that 1 less. So we'll be more likely. Let's do 1 to 4 aggressive, because that's probably the worst thing that could happen. And then parlay, and then okay. So at the beginning of turn 3, the red forces at Don Bonito are going to get aggressive. So Monday, March 11th, the red force at Don Bonito will attack. All right, so there we are. The very first tactical level battle will be here at Don Bonito with the company of light cavalry taking possession of the town, and the garrison and the light cavalry at the garrison fortress will need to come forward and push them out. So that will be our battle. We will roll on the chart from 1 hour 1 hour war games. And what we're going to do is we're going to call this, the red force will be an army with 3 units. And we already have cavalry at 1. So we're only going to go with a 1, a 3, or a 6. So let's roll for that. A 1 to 2, a 3 to 4, a 5 to 6. And that'll determine our forces. 5. So we're going to have 2 units of infantry, which will come from the town, and the 1 unit of cavalry. So all the men of the town will turn out to take care of the blue forces at the garrison. Now at the garrison, we already know that Don Bonito has troops stationed there. And according to our list here, Don Bonito is a D-sized settlement with 3 companies of infantry. So we have 3 companies of infantry versus 2 companies of infantry and a company of cavalry. So that will be the first battle, and we'll go ahead and use the Arthur Taylor rules for our demo. So we have 2 units of infantry and 1 unit of light cavalry for the red, and 3 units of infantry and 1 unit of light cavalry, this one here, for the blue. And that will be our first battle, which will take place on Monday, March 11th, on turn 3. All right, so I think that went pretty smoothly. I do need to print out the rules that I typed up and put on the Substack. I don't know why I didn't print them. I thought I had everything written down, but I guess I don't. So I'll print those out, and for the next strategic move, which we'll do next week, because now that we have actually started a battle, we'll go ahead and do one every week and see what happens. Although I have to say it's kind of weird what's going on here. So perhaps there'll be some ramifications, because we do have settlements here and here. This one here is Diamantina, and they have 3 companies of infantry stationed there. And this one is Copatina, and they have that's a C level settlement, so they have 4 companies of infantry and 2 companies of cavalry. So the troops here, the garrison here at Don Bonito, may send for help, and so we'll make that part of the game that we do for this battle. So I think that will do it. I'm going to go ahead and type all this up and throw this on the Substack. If you don't have a subscription, please pop over there at wargameculture.substack.com and sign up and get the email alerts. If you feel so moved and so inclined as to become a paid subscriber, I really appreciate it. Paid subscribers do get a lot of extras and extra videos that don't go on the channel as public videos, as well as other design notes and things like that. So thanks for watching. Have a great day and keep on gaming.